because whenever you license SQL servers for one computer, they do it by the core, right? So it all comes down to like how many cores per machine. So if you have 4 physical sockets and each socket has 40 cores, that's a shit ton of money, right? And just in licensing, right? Whereas you can get this. Yeah, exactly. You're right on the money on that one, right? I could do the same workloads using SQL standard licenses rather than using massive SQL enterprise licenses.
Right. So, okay. So your 4 physical sockets and each had 40 cores would be super expensive, you're saying. But like, wouldn't it, if the total number of cores is the same, how does it matter? I'm still struggling to understand that a little bit.
So when the workloads, it all depends, right? So certain components of SQL Server need enterprise licensing, right? Certain other machines tend to run on standard licenses, right? SQL Server 2017 standard versus SQL Server 2017 enterprise. So the way we did this was we had our core machines running enterprise, and all the smaller machines that we needed to deploy to add more horsepower were just running standard licensing across the board. So we were mix matching our licenses, which was totally approved by Microsoft in the first place, to get what we wanted in peak, when we just wanted more computing power to do some analysis and that kind of stuff.
Makes sense. I see. So if you're saying, if you were just using like, okay, because you did it the way you did it, you could like use a mixture of standard and enterprise. If you were using fewer machines with larger number of cores, you would have had to buy enterprise for all of them.
That is correct. Yep.
Okay, now it makes sense. Okay, enterprise is of course a lot more expensive than standard. I get that. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, this is super helpful. Just going back a little bit to when you had your deployment on AWS before Microsoft swooped in with the discounts. Do you know how you were deploying SQL Server on Linux on AWS? Like, was it mostly a VM import, or were you using the marketplace images of Red Hat plus SQL that AWS provides? Do you have some idea about that?
All marketplaces images, but then we hardened them ourselves.
And
so bare machines were all marketplace images, and then we went through our own customization after we got those deployed to mark them how they want to be customized according to our own security and compliance policies.
Got it. And did you need to have high availability? And like, if so, how were you sort of like achieving that with the AWS deployment?
So in AWS, we were using always on. Right? So we were always using an active and an always on cluster. And then in Azure, it was just platform as a service. So we really didn't have to worry about high availability or anything of that sort at that point.
Makes sense. And are you using any of the like optional components of SQL Server on Linux, like SSIS or full text search, any of those things?
That I am not 100% sure. That is something I'll have to ask the database engineers now.
No worries.
I really don't know. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. Okay, got it. And like in general, like, do you have a sense of like, I know that it's tough to compare a PaaS service versus an IaaS service, but like in general, is performance and your overall experience sort of like better now with Azure versus AWS, or like are there some elements which are better and some which are not so great?
That's a really tricky question. Because we are now officially comparing apples and oranges. So
I agree. Yeah.
Let's put it this way. It's a lot more easier for me to run Microsoft-based products in Azure than it is to run them in AWS.
Is that because of just the like? Is that because you would expect Microsoft to provide better support for their products, or is there some other reason as well?